Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday night edition of the Dog Pound. Tonight, we start out with a very well known gentleman within the boxing circles, Mr. Bob Trieger. And then we will be introducing a young man who's going to be making his his debut, Mr. Sanchez McGee. So let's get right on the show. And I see Mr. Trigger is in the queue. So, how are you doing this evening, Bob?
I'm doing terrific. Thank you for having me on. Unfortunately, my computer froze, so I'm on my phone.
Well, we having a little. I think I'm a couple seconds behind here, but we're having a few little technical. Uh, Difficulties of our own. But Bob, it's been we although we've talk to each other and I've had the pleasure of having a lot of your clients on the show. This is, I believe, the first time we've actually seen each other face to face.
It is. You've had me on the show once or twice, but this is the first time. Now, I don't want to scare you away now that you've seen me.
Well, no, even old dinosaurs like me had to come into the 21st century and catch up with the podcasting and all that.
I'm with you.
So, Bob, I know a lot of the older guys. We all know who you are and your reputation and all that. But when did you first get into this business?
Well, that's an interesting story. Originally I was just a fan. Then I became a writer and covered boxing. That was in 1975. And I did that for several years. And then in 1998, I started my own agency, Full Court Press, and went out on my own as a publicist. And I've been doing that ever since.
Now, did you have any, personal dealings in the ring? Or were you, like you said, you started out as a fan?
Well, I grew up on a housing project in Boston, but no, I was not in the ring per se. But I remember as a young child sitting there with my father on Friday and Saturday nights watching the fights on TV, and I immediately took to it. I'm not sure what it says about me, but the first fight I recollect, Bernie the Kid Parent got killed by Emil Griffith. So I'm not sure what that says about me, but that was the first one I remember, and I've been very, very lucky and decided to write this book during COVID.
Well, now, there's two things here that you can kind of tell our audience about the growth. Because not only do you do the full court press, which people know about the boxing, but you do the MMA.
MMA, kickboxing, bare knuckles, anything that involves two people hitting each other, I've worked it.
Now, Bob, guys our age and when you start talking about uh, Bob Arum, you know, those things, when you talk about boxing and combat sports, those were things that our generation kind of embraced. They were, like that measure of manhood.
I
But
agree. Yes.
do you think that today's audience has the same appreciation that our generation had for the combat sport?
No. Because I think they just have so many different options in life now, whether it's following particular sports or anything. There's so many more things to do. Back when I was young, it was football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and boxing. And I took a shine to the boxing, and then at some point, I realized I've got to expand my business here and my knowledge to include MMA because younger people are into that, and I think there's a crossover now where there are people that enjoy both sports. And I really love boxing, and MMA is a job.
Now, who do you think has had the most influence on their particular sport? Floyd Mayweather or Dana White?
Dana White. He's a Boston guy. I gotta go with that. No, I think he has done an absolutely incredible job marketing what was a dead sport. I mean, when they took it over, it was in debt. And what he's done is absolutely amazing. And they're not slowing down at all. And he was going to get into boxing, and then he wasn't, and then he was. Uh, I wish he did get into boxing because he's got some great, great marketing, creative marketing ideas.
Now, Dana has taken what we used to do in boxing, which is the best fighting the best, regardless of record,
Hmm.
and he's used that to his advantage. But in boxing, we seem to be going backwards. Whereas, now it's, who can put the most butts in seats rather than who has the superior combat performance.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that, and I think part of the problem is in boxing, they build the fighter up sometimes the wrong way by having them fight tomato cans and cab drivers and stuff until they're 20-0. But once you lose in boxing, it's almost like you go back to the bottom and have to work your way up. So the people behind them, the promoters, the managers, sponsors, they don't want you to lose. So they put you in a situation where you're going to win, but what do you gain? And I don't think fans in boxing are that stupid. I think after a while they say, why am I spending money on tickets or pay per views when I know who's going to win before the fight begins? In the UFC, you lose, but you put in a good fight, you're back on in 2 months.
Yeah. How do you view the way that your job has changed over the years as a promoter and a writer? Um, a lot of these kids self promote now. A lot of that they have so much social media that it seems that they don't feel that a promoter and a publicist are things that are necessary. I mean, they got YouTube and TikTok and all these other social vehicles.
Well, I still think boxing's average age is probably ours as far as fans go. And in that case, I think they depend less on social media to get their information than people 30 and younger. Today, I mean, it's changed so much. It used to be big in the newspapers. You used to be able to get stuff on the nightly sports TV shows or radios. Doesn't happen that often anymore. So the way to get to the public today is twofold. One is through boxing websites and shows like yours and others, and the other is social media. And because of that, I jumped on the wagon. I learned how to use it to my advantage. But I think the fighters still rely on their promoters, their managers, their publicists, and they take it and run with it on social media. So I think it balances out, and I think we're both, the fighter and the publicist, are hitting the same people in the long run. The people they want to buy tickets, to be fans, and buy their merchandise and things like that.
Um, I want to talk to you a little bit about the current state of the amateurs, and I'm kind of disturbed because the Olympics used to be the stepping stone or the measuring stick for a guy to move on to the next level. Since we have had the scandals in Olympic boxing, do you? There's a good possibility, at least right now, that boxing will not be a part of the Olympic sport. The Olympic sport. Do you think that this will deter a lot of young men from going uh, through up that amateur ladder, and therefore maybe we'll start seeing some guys that are not quite prepared like they used to be. I mean, the guys that had that amateur pedigree, Muhammad
Mhm.
Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and so forth.
Well, I need to be transparent on this because I do publicity for USA Boxing, and I'm well aware of what's going on right now. The IOC, the Olympic Committee, has more or less said the group that has been running amateur boxing, the IBA, formerly the AIBA, has been involved in so many scandals that they will not allow them to. They didn't in Tokyo, and they're not in Paris. And the scary part is, right now, it's not part of the 2028 Olympics in LA. Now, USA Boxing and many other countries are desperately trying to straighten this out. But to get to your question, yeah, I think you're going to have. Uh, right now, there's some tremendous amateurs in this country. Some of them you're seeing now with maybe 8 pro fights and less, doing very, very well. They were trained, which is another story because think of it, promoters get almost, when they get the elite amateurs from the United States or other countries, they're getting almost a finished product without investing a single nickel. But that's a whole other story. The what I'm what I believe is that, yes, if there are no Olympics, then maybe the World Championships and locally the Golden Gloves and the USA Nationals and things like that, PAL, they'll be a little bit more important. But my gut tells me that there'll be less boxers hanging around the amateurs when they have an opportunity to go to the pros and make some money, and whether they're ready or not. And I don't think they'll be as ready. They couldn't be. The talent, the experience, fighting talented fighters with from all over the world with different styles. It's a lot better than turning pro at 18 and fighting 6 times a year for chump change and not really developing because the people behind you don't want you to fight anybody tough. So boxing's facing a real serious problem. You're right.
And also the uh, I guess the best word would be demise of some of the other things that used to feed boxing, like the Police Athletic League, for instance, less Golden Gloves tournaments. Uh, you know, uh, how can we possibly, like because I'm big on trying to find something to get the kids off the street, and boxing used to be that avenue.
It
What?
still is, James. It is right now. I've interviewed countless amateurs over the last 4 years to do stories, and almost every single one of them said the same thing. Boxing saved my life. It gave me meaning. It gave me a safe place to go. I learned. I didn't have parents. I met this person that the coach took me under his wing, and those people. You're 100% correct. If they don't have boxing, where are they going to go? They're going to go back on the street, and that's where they're going to get into trouble. So hopefully, uh, and what I'd like to see is the big money promoters put some money into amateur boxing and give them that opportunity to go to go to different tournaments and develop their skills. Right now, you something's changed in the last year that not many people are aware of. But before in the United States, you didn't make money as an amateur. You couldn't. You were an amateur or you were pro. They were fighting guys that were professionals from different countries in the amateurs. But lately, what's happened is it's not your grandfather's USA boxing anymore. What we're seeing more and more are, for example, an elite American amateur will go and live in Colorado Springs, get first class training at a state of the art facility. They will be training with the best of the best. They get the health insurance, they get stipends. And believe it or not, now, in the major international matches, uh, for example, the world championships, the winners, and there were three from the United States in the last worlds, two men and a woman, they received each of them $100,000 winners purse. So there's reasons for them to stay in amateur boxing at 19, 20 years old instead of jumping to the pros. But if they don't have that alternative in the future, I'm concerned.
You see, boxing to me was the original uh, NIL sport, name, image, and likeness.
Mm-hmm.
Things that they're talking about in football now.
Yeah.
But in football, we're talking about college kids making. You mentioned $100. I mean, $100,000. The center on Ohio State probably gets that much endorsement for his
Mm-hmm.
cleats.
Mm-hmm.
How come we don't have that same type of financial backing in our sport?
Well, I think part of the reason is that in some circles in business, that boxing is still considered a bad sport, a negative sport, because oh my goodness, they hit each other. If I wish they would watch the sport at its purest and understand what an art form it really is, but they don't. They just see two guys clubbing each other, and then they go, "Oh, that's terrible." And yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but but part of the problem is if you're playing for Ohio State, you got all those boosters, you've got all those fans, then you've got all the college fans, football fans. Boxing's it's a niche sport now, and the money's not there like it. Well, I don't know if I can say like it used to be, but it isn't there like it is in other sports, and I don't know if it ever will.
Now, I want to get to your book, uh, and it just came out Monday, I believe.
Saturday we launched it.
Saturday. Okay. It's New England's greatest. Okay. Now, what made you decide after all of these years to become an author?
Well, like I said, I started out as a writer, a sports writer, and I like to pride myself as a publicist who writes well, and that may be a dying skill also. But I've always enjoyed writing, and when you write publicity, in most cases, it's, who's fighting, how much are the tickets, what time, what are their records and stuff like that. And you don't get the opportunity to do real creative writing. And I miss that. So over the years, I realized that people just can't come up with the same people. Like, who's the best? If you do it internationally, nationally, or in my case, we did it in New England. And who's the best? Well, if I ask 25 people for the top three, I bet you they all come up with different names. It's so much fun to see people debate, not fight, although there probably have been a little bit of that too. But who's the best? So by doing it in New England, I'm a lifelong New Englander, a Bostonian, and I got 20 people together who are really experts in New England boxing. They range from promoters to photographers to fans to fighters. It was fun, and we did that when there was nothing else to do. We were stuck in our houses for months, and it was like, oh, I'm not working. I have all this information. I love to do research. Got together. We came up with 100 names. We trimmed it down to 25 in order. And I must say, my research brought me back to 1876, right up to today. And it was a ball. I had so much fun. It isn't so much about who's right or who's wrong. In this case, it's about me leaving something behind from a career of working in it, and my grandchildren, they'll in years to come they'll look, grandpa wrote that book. And writing a book is kind of cool, and I'm finding out more and more. Now, in this case, it was a little different because again, boxing's a small sport with a small a market, and so nobody was coming to me saying, "Hey," no publisher was coming to me saying, "Hey, I want to give you this money for the rights to your book." No one did. But what I did is I self-published, so I paid to do this. Now I'm selling it to hopefully get a little bit of that nut down on my expenses. But again, if it doesn't, that's okay because I wanted to leave something behind, and I've left something behind. And who knows, I may do another one. I had such a good time.
Now, uh, what was your criteria, or was like you said, you went all the way back to the 1800s, so I mean, like just like we have writers today with comparing Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson. What was your criteria for these New England boxers?
Well, they number one, they had to be true New England boxers. They couldn't have driven through New England and qualified. They couldn't move into New England after they retired. What it was, they had to either have been born in New England or lived in New England for 5 years during the better times of their pro careers. So there were people that there were several people who didn't make the cut because they weren't eligible in my mind, and it was my book, so I made the rules. But but we did it based on not only their performances but their contributions to the sport of boxing, and it I did a lot of research because a lot of the guys, I mean, even my age, I didn't know most of them. They had fought and passed long before I knew about boxing. But because of the research I did, I broke it down. Um, I think we have, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I think out of the 25, 16 of them are in the Hall of Fame. That was kind of an easy way to start. Okay, who's in the Hall of Fame? That they must be really good if they're in there. And then it was just talking it up, it's amazing. Boxing fans, they can remember this, some things that are remarkable. So in the book, not only do we pick the top 25 in order, and then 10 alphabetically listed as honorable mention, but I also wrote about all the greatest fighters in the world who fought in New England and who they beat, where they fought, how many times, uh, the most significant fights ever held, the old. I mean, New England was part of the circuit back in the day. It was boxing was big, and now you see club fights with 500, 700 people, and in New England. If you see more than 1,000, you're really astonished because it just isn't as popular as it used to be.
Well, of course, my disappointment is that Marvin Hagler is not number one, but you know, uh,
Well, you're not the only one, but I mean to be behind Willie Pep and Rocky Marciano,
yeah,
that's pretty good. And who knows? I think over time people's reputations build up. But I mean, look at what Willie Pep did. He went like he had 100 and something wins in 1 year, and Rocky just knocked out everybody they put in front of him. And Marvin was terrific. I mean, Marvin's you could see there's some pictures on my office wall of Marvin. I met him once. I remember saying, "Wow." I shook his hand. I remember saying, "Wow, these are like a baby's is so soft." And then I realized that's his tools. He's taking care of his tools. And I asked him one question in particular. I said, why are you here at this Boys and Girls Club in an inner city on a Saturday afternoon when you're a multimillionaire and you could be doing anything? And I remember he clearly, and I think this is boxers in general. He said, if I can help one kid out of all these kids here, I've done my job because I will never forget where I came from. And boxers are the absolute best when you need them, to whether it's to talk anti-drugs, stay in school, anything like that. They're the first ones that will volunteer and they'll do it with a smile. They don't want to be paid. They don't even want the publicity, which kind of ticks me off sometimes. But they just do it because it's the right thing. And I think hockey players are second to that. But most athletes, they're not going to give their time like boxers.
yeah. It's like I said, it's kind of remarkable. Like there was no inner city that where you couldn't go in and find a boxing gym or
Mm-hmm.
find uh, maybe an eliminator. The guys that were going trying to go to the Olympic trials and things like that. Uh, and uh, like you said, boxing has saved a lot of our youth. But Bob, what took you? What real? I mean, I know you said the pandemic and that, but how long did it take you to get in the mindset of writing a book? And not only that, the marketplace at that, at that particular time. I know people that are in this business aren't always in this business to make money. A lot of us are in love with the sport. If you make money out in the meantime, that's fine. But is that kind of your passion, Bob?
Absolutely. Uh, like I said, I did this to leave something behind. Now, am I going to make money? No. If can I make a few bucks? Hopefully, and hopefully this show will help me make a few bucks. But that again, that's not the reason. And the relationships I've developed with some of the guys in this book, they were my clients. John Ruiz was my first client. Mickey Ward was my second. Vinny Paz, I'm very friendly with. Jose Rivera was a client of mine, and I know these people, and I'm a better person because I've known them.
Yeah, I think anyone that comes to this sport, you have to come with a certain amount of humility, as well as a certain purpose to understand that uh, you are part of something bigger. Bob, I want to thank you for your time this evening. Why don't you give us your final thoughts? Tell us where we can find the book and any other things that you might want to share with the audience.
Well, I am down to. I've cut back as I've gotten a little bit older. I've 9 world champions, and I'm getting close with my 10th. I represent 44-0 Gilberto Zerto Ramirez, and he's got that big fight with D-Ball coming up. And if he wins, he's my 10th world champion, and I can fade off into the sunset maybe. But as far as the book, if people are interested in the book, they can go to my new website. It is fullcourtpressboxing.com. And there's a section in there that will tell you a little bit more about the book, how to buy it, um, how much it is, blah, blah, all that stuff. And then just contact me at my email address, which is fightpublicist@gmail.com. And it's $20 plus shipping and handling, another five for shipping and handling. I'll sign it. I'll get it out to you as soon as possible. And it's kind of a cool book for Christmas for fight fans. Even if you're not from New England, you'll know a lot of these guys. I mean, we only have one active fighter on the list, but he's pretty good, Demetrius Andrade, who I think I first put on your show many, many years ago.
That's my man. Yeah, he's part of my photo gallery. I met Boo Boo in person, and Clarissa at the last boxing uh, show down in Vegas, uh, Expo.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. So, uh, so thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate your time, and I will definitely be back in touch with you because I want to get Zerto on the program, also.
You got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob. Have a great night.
You too. Bye bye.
That was the great publicist and promoter, Mr. Bob Trieger. Been in the business for quite some time. Uh, let's see. You're a little dark there, Mr. Sanchez.
All right, let me turn up my brightness for you.
There you go. Okay. All right. Um,
Is
okay.
it better?
Yes, sir. That's fine. Uh, this is our next guest. Yes, that's much better. Uh, Mr. Sanchez, Maniac McGee. I have to apologize to you for misspelling your first name there on the marquee. I'll change that after the show.
That's all good.
Now, uh, just so people know, you are an Army veteran, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, you were in the 82nd Airborne, almost, but I will, I promise not to hold that against you. So,
Nah, man, it's all good. I
uh,
know it everybody can't be part of the 82nd, so that's why they made the 101st. So
yeah. But but see, you wear that AA on yours, So so. But anyway, give us a little bit of a little background.
all right, from Atlanta, Georgia, born and raised. um, came in the army 2011. So this is my 11th year in the army. Um, spent majority of it in 82nd. Spent 2 years in 4th ID in Colorado. I started boxing by the age of 24. So I started pretty late in boxing, but I fell in love with it instantly. First day I walked in the gym, and it's been part of my life ever since.
Uh, did you participate in any other sports before boxing?
Yeah. In high school, I ran track. I played football, like my ninth grade year, but then I fell in love with track. Um, just watching Usain Bolt and Tyson Gay and Justin Gatlin, and I just fell in love with track.
Yeah, I did a little 220 and 440 work. You guys got meters now. We ran yards,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But so what did you run? You mentioned Gatlin and those guys, so
Yeah.
I'm going say that you were a sprinter.
Yes, sir. 100, the 200, 4x1.
Okay.
That's as far as I went. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't start running long distance until I got in the army.
Okay, now especially sprinters and hurdlers, I found this out. You have to be very good about your footwork,
Mhm.
especially in between certain distances, depending upon your lane. You know,
Mhm.
uh, there's a big difference. I mean, people think that when they see a guy out in lane 7 and or 8, and you're down in lane 1, it looks like you had the advantage.
Right, right, right.
I you
Yeah.
know, did did you manage to take your footwork from track to boxing?
Not necessarily my footwork, but definitely my speed. Definitely my speed.
So are we talking about hand speed or foot speed?
Um, I guess you can say my foot speed. Like when I first started boxing, I struggled a little bit with my balance because I wanted to load up on everything. Just I guess just God given strength and punching power. So I wanted to load up on everything. So I had to learn, um, when to throw power punches, when not to. And my coach, he really he stayed on me about that.
Okay, now uh, let's talk about the discipline issue, because once again we talk about track discipline, then you talk about the army where you learn how to run longer distances. You're building up speed and stamina. uh,
Mhm.
how did you incorporate those different mindsets into deciding to be a professional boxer?
Uh, um, I would say the discipline from the army definitely helped, but as far as me just I would say staying disciplined upon, like, you gotta make weight, you gotta take it serious. Like boxing is one of those sports to where if you're not putting in the work and you're not taking it serious, it'll show right away. So, boxing, I would say, shaped me into the man I am today. You know, playing other sports and the army definitely helped, but I give most of my praise to boxing for real.
So you mentioned that you did part of your army tour in Colorado Springs,
Mhm.
and we've talked to a lot of people that have been a part of that Colorado Springs training center and organization. Can you tell us a little bit about how it feels, when you get those orders and know that you're going, you're going to the ultimate special services company?
So I was never a part of WCAP. I participated in all army, and
Okay.
but I definitely trained with at the Triple Threat Gym with Coach Lev, Coach Downs, and all those guys. So I've been around Olympians, professional boxers. Um, I definitely shout out to Steve Nelson, Sammy Vasquez, Marcus Brown, Michaela Meyer, and Naomi Graham, Daniel Bailey, Charles Charles Williams, Trey Alexander. They all helped me in some way. So that Colorado family, shout out to them.
Let's talk a little bit about your Army career and your upcoming professional debut. When is your upcoming professional debut?
Okay, so I'll be making my debut at 147 November 5th in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited.
So you're still down around that Hope Mills area then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Fayetteville. Still live in
okay.
Fayetteville. Yeah. Yeah. After I left Colorado, I came right back here. Right back.
Okay. Oh man, well, I would say why, but I mean, but no, as I told you, like I drove cabs up on Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
My father retired from Fort Bragg. My nephew
Okay.
was in the 82nd, so but you know, I know that it's an environment that can be very hard on a young man, especially a young black man.
Yeah.
Um, so, how do you uh, find? Well, no. Do you sometimes find yourself, you know, looking back on, like the different places that you've been, the places, where you want to go in boxing, and you believe, like, those swamps down there is what kind of like toughened you up. I mean, hey man. uh,
Um, I definitely been through a lot when it comes to 82nd. Um, but just having the support system, being able to rely on boxing when I have tough days in the army, definitely helped me keep going. This long, and you know, uh, man, support system. That's all I can say, man. My support system.
okay, uh, so are you still active duty?
Yeah, currently, yes, sir.
Okay, and so how are you going to be able to manage your boxing career and your army career at the same time? You said you've been in what 11 years?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Uh,
So, yeah, I definitely got a plan for it. I don't want to put it out there yet, but
okay, okay, all right.
I definitely got a plan for it. And hey, man, I managed it this long, so I don't see, and now you're allowed to be active duty and be a pro boxer now. I want to say within the past 5 to 6 years. So let's see how I can manage it while active duty.
Okay, well, 11 years. I know. That's staff sergeant.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
all right. I'm still good on my timeline. Then, all right.
It should
Okay.
have. I
So,
should have been a lot higher than that, but we ain't
well,
gonna talk about
hey,
that.
hey, look, look, brother. You in North Carolina. You in the other 82nd. You don't have to talk to me, but I mean, we'll we'll just exchange smiles and leave it at that. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. Uh, uh, so now, uh, uh, you kind of in a double whammy situation there because I remember as a young crew, especially when I first got my wings, and I got my little blood wings and stuff, and started strutting around and like and uh, I decided that you know how well I guess you guys are under a little different instruction now, but back in the day, the SARS used to tell you, any of y'all that think, so forth and so, you can meet me after, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
take all, uh, and foolishly, I tried one of my sergeants one time. You know, uh, it was not a pleasant experience. But and do you still find like that challenge when some of those recruits, like, oh, Sarge think he could throw hands a little bit.
Nah, nah. Thankfully, I never had a situation like that. I'm a pretty cool, laid back NCO, so I'm pretty respected. Not to toot my own horn, but I approach people how I wanted to be treated when I was coming up.
Uh, Hey, I respect that. I respect that. But like I said, every once in a while you get a young knucklehead recruit, like I'm sure, and but you learn how to deal with that in different ways. I
Yeah.
mean, but so right now, what is your timetable? You're making your debut. What'd you say, in 2 weeks?
Um, about about 4 weeks. Yeah.
About 4 weeks. Okay, so uh, you're still training more or less. You're still preparing. For the fight. I know you get prepared every day, but uh,
Yes, sir.
uh, how is that transition? Because uh, there's not always enough time in the day when you put in you put in your army's a full-time job, and trust me, I know that boxing is a full-time job. you know
Yeah.
so how do you manage to I mean, that takes a lot of discipline there, Sarge.
Yeah, it does. It's not easy, but anything you want to do, you're gonna make time for it, and it's 24 hours in a day. So even if you're not able to make it to training in the afternoons, you're gonna have to get it in some type of way.
Now, what was the biggest transition that you had to make? Well, how many amateur fights did you have? I forgot to ask
Uh,
you that.
yeah, I only had 13.
You only
Because of deployments, and you know how demanding 82nd is. So yeah.
Yeah, well, K9, I think he only had 10 or 12 amateur fights, and
Okay.
grew up to be, two-time world champion.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
he, wa-
Shout out to K9.
I believe he was older than you when he won his first
Mm-hmm.
champion, and
Mm-hmm.
he was on a contender. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you feel that at your age that you have to be on an accelerated pace?
No. Um. I believe it's on my time. Um, I can't let nobody else rush me. I'm at my own pace, and I'm just following the path that's already written for me. And whatever it turns out to be, I'm gonna be proud of what I did, regardless.
Okay, now, in the age of political correctness here, Maniac. How did
Okay.
how did how did you acquire that particular moniker?
I know I got it from boxing. I can't remember when or where I got it, but I remember being in the ring and sparring and hearing somebody say, "Oh man, he's fighting like a maniac." And you know how when you're in the ring, you can hear everything, but you can't really focus on that. And I remember hearing that, and it just stuck with me. just stuck with me, and it just went with my last name, Maniac McGee. So just took it and ran with it.
Okay, all right. It's in this day and age, you have to, it's kind of interesting on how you guys acquire their nicknames. Some guys give themselves nicknames, and then they wonder why it doesn't catch. You know, you know, you, you know. But do you think that do you think that your discipline as a soldier gives you an advantage over some of? Yeah, I mean, I understand. Boxing is a very disciplined sport, but when you combine the two, and a lot of guys, don't know, exactly, what uh, those operations mean when you're airborne or your special forces and that, and the amount of physical endurance and commitment
Mhm.
that it takes in order for you to do those things. And we already think of boxers as being somewhat out of the norm. So,
Mhm.
do you think that that it gives you an advantage being a soldier?
Yeah, I think it gives me an advantage in my own type of way. I think it helps me slow down and process things a lot quicker and have better understanding, especially in and out of the ring with certain things. Because you know, being airborne and just being a soldier, period, um, takes a lot of patience. Takes a lot of patience and dedication.
Now, you mentioned that you were making your debut at
Mhm.
147.
That's right.
There's a lot of beasts in that particular class. So, man, who do you think right now is the best 147 fighter?
Hands down, Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford, hands down. And I will my honorable mention, second best, is Jerron Boots Ennis. No question about it.
Hey, we've been following Boots for quite some time.
Yeah.
We remember Boots when he first made his TV debut. I love Boots, man. But so, what do you think about the latest developments in the Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight? Do you think that I mean, I'm kind of with you. I like Bud personally. I think Bud will win the fight, but the thing that I've always been kind of afraid of when it comes to Bud and Arrow fighting is not only Arrow's injury to his eye because I've had a detached retina, and I'm sure you've had at least one or two concussions if you've been jumping out of planes. So, uh, but you know, I think Bud is a much better fighter on his feet and being able to adapt. That's why I give him the advantage. What's your thoughts?
Oh man. I think he's faster. His reflexes are better. His footwork is better. He's faced the adversity. We've seen him face adversity in and outside the ring. His head movement is better to me. Um, he's a switch hitter. I just feel like he has more tricks in his bag. And no disrespect to Arrow, he's a phenomenal fighter, but I can't see it no other way.
Now, uh, you also said, and this was during our talk, not on the air here, but you
Mhm.
said that you were going to make your debut at 147 and then go down to 140. Now,
Yes, sir.
usually you hear it the other way around.
Mhm.
Guys come in at a smaller weight and then says, "Well, I'm going to go up." Now, at your age, you've pretty much got your man strength. So,
Mhm.
what made you decide to come in at a higher weight and then go down?
Um, so I had COVID last year and I lost a lot of weight. So when I picked that weight back up, I started working out, started lifting a lot. So I wasn't in boxing shape. I was in shape, but we know boxing shape is different. And in the amateurs, I fought 132 to 138. So in the professionals, to give myself the best advantage, 140 would be my weight class, especially when it comes to height.
How tall are you?
5'7" on a good day.
On- oh man, come on, 2 inches, you'd have been a tunnel rat, man.
Hey man, hey, hey.
Any- uh, but so I'm going to ask you the same question. Who do you think is the best fighter at 140?
Ooh. Um, Probably Josh Taylor, just because he hasn't left 140 yet. Um, and then after Josh Taylor, just because he's still there and he's been undisputed, I got to give it to him. Man, he's only had what, like 18, 19 fights. But after that, probably Teofimo and Antoine Russell.
Okay, all right, yeah. A lot of we've been dealing with the Russell family for a long time.
Yeah, shout
Uh,
out to them. Yeah,
yeah, and not you can look at them, like what they're doing after boxing too. So hey, man, I know time always flies when you're having fun.
yeah.
So I want to get you back on either just before your fight, but definitely
Okay.
after your fight.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now I'm gonna tell you, man, if 82nd Airborne, you go out there and get clowned, man. Hey, hey, I'm gonna be ringing up that phone. Look, come on, man. What's up? So, hey, but so you got to do us paratroopers proud, man. So why don't you give us your final thoughts for the evening, man? Any social media that you're on, and hey, man, I look forward to having you back on the show, man.
Yeah. First off, I want to thank you for bringing me on your show. Definitely means a lot. Um, yeah. For those watching, you can follow me on Instagram at Poppy_Chulo2. Again, that's PAPII_Chulo2. You can find me on Facebook, Sanchez McGee, just my first and my last name. If you have Clubhouse, you can find me in Clubhouse in the SIR, Sir Boxing Room, Let's Talk Sports, y'all, Smoke With Me TV, and Maniac Boxing Coliseum. You can find me on any of those platforms.
All right, bro. Well, hey, when you see J King 3 there, that's me. So you can follow me back. I'm
Gotcha.
also a West Coast Steeler fan, so you know, uh, I look forward to having you on the show, bro. It was great talking to you, and we appreciate your time, my man.
Thank you, man. I can't wait to be back.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Yeah. All right. Oh man, always enjoy talking to these young fighters, and promoters such as Mr. Bob Trieger. We look forward to being back on next week, bringing some more of the fighters off of this North Carolina card promoted by Harvard Promotions. And hey, all I can do is thank you all for your time. Looking forward to bringing you the best shows every week. And don't forget to subscribe. And if you are so inclined, please go to our Cash App program and donate at $ JEK3, JE King 3. Uh, thank you so much. See you next week. Have a great day.